we just heard Secretary Mayorkas saying that Nina Jankowicz is great for the job of leading disinformation board. Let's listen to that. Another clip here of what he had to say.
Yeah.
Eminently qualified, a renowned expert in the field of disinformation. Absolutely so.
Qualified, but we know in 2020, Nina Jankowicz said the government should not be policing information, in her own words. So, Congressman, what do you make of Mayorkas going and doubling down on her and, in fact, this board's creation?
Well, having been a judge and having listened to witnesses, let me just remind you that credibility is everything. And this is the same guy that told us that the prior administration broke the border, broke the immigration system, and he inherited a broken system. He also lied and said that the border is totally secure and a lot of things along those lines. So you judge somebody's credibility by how often they lie, and when Mayorkas opens his mouth and his lips start moving, normally it appears from what we heard in the Judiciary Committee, he's usually lying. There's a good chance of that. And we certainly know that here about the Disinformation Board and the person that's been appointed to head it. And I would encourage people to go back and read 1984. Been talking about a ministry of truth from that book for many months now, and they've come right out and done this. Yes, they're going to monitor Americans. We've got the post office also monitoring our electronic, our social media.
We are living in unprecedented times, that is yes, for sure. But let's also listen to her in her own words. It wasn't too long ago when Jankowicz herself seemingly would have been not have been supporting a position or a board like this. I believe we have that clip to play.
I totally understand your aversion to the idea that government would fight back against disinformation. In fact, you know, the use of that term has been basically the foundation to some very draconian fake news laws in places like Russia or even Singapore. I do not believe that government should be in that business either.
So Jankowicz says the government should not be in the business of policing people unless she's the one, apparently, Congressman, to be doing it.
Well, that was just a warm-up to her being able to look in the camera and lie about what she's doing and what she's going to do. It ought to scare every American. And if you remember from 1984, they had the Ministry of Truth that made up what truth was and said anybody that deviates from this will be punished. And then they had the Ministry of Love. Well, we already have the Ministry of Love. They're known as the Department of Justice, and they've already shown us in their treatment of the January 6ers, some of the nonviolent people, the way they've been tortured and been so unfairly treated. We got a glimpse of how you're treated if you go against the Ministry of Truth or the Disinformation Board.
And yet, if you go in and are involved in a shooting at a mall like a recent suspect, you're allowed to be out with an ankle bracelet and go to work. It really is concerning what's playing out in the criminal justice system. But I want to focus on the border a moment, because a lot of this seems like a distraction to what's, you know, some of the bigger stories impacting people across the country, because we are all border states now. I want to play a clip of you grilling Secretary Mayorkas on the border, where he struggled to respond to your question. Let's listen.
Who makes the decision where these different bus loads, plane loads, train loads, who makes the decision where they are going to go in the country?
Immigration and Customs Enforcement makes a determination.
Who makes that decision in ICE?
The ICE personnel with expertise make a decision with respect to who should be detained.
Wow, it sounds like a star chamber. We don't get to know who is making the decision to send people to these neighborhoods.
So, sir, with that line of questioning, you really were drilling down. What's your biggest concern? Is it that people are on the watch list are getting in, people who are claiming asylum who really don't deserve asylum are getting in? Where were you going with that?
Well, all of the above, but we've got people that we don't know. They may be criminals. They may be carrying diseases. and they're being sent to places that don't even know that they're coming, so they are not prepared for this invasion of people that his Homeland Security is sending all over the country. So every state is a border state. But let me tell you, people have been sounding the alarm over no longer using Title 42, and it's expected to double what's already coming in. And in a recent trip this year to the border, talking to the head of Border Patrol in that sector, we asked, gee, we hear the gotaways, but how many people do you estimate from based on what you find out is going on in the country did not even get seen by you? And he said, we fear it's about 50% that they don't even see that come into this country. And Mayorkas has pulled our people away from the border, away from protecting the border, and moved them interior. So the Border Patrolmen are saying privately, look, we have been moved away from the border. We're a long way from the border now. People are pouring in. They are not doing their jobs. It's dangerous.
Not surprising, the talk of impeachment grows louder and stronger day by day. We got to leave it there, though, but great to have you with us. Thank you so much, Congressman Gohmert. Thanks for being with us today on America Agenda.